Om Sairam. My humble pranams at Swami's Lotus Feet. Respected elders, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, on behalf of Hamilton's High Center, it gives me a great privilege to welcome you all to this RUDRAM workshop or retreat. Most of you will be familiar with a similar thing we had last year about the same time, Ekadesh Rudra Homam. This is now going to be looking like an annual event now, and we don't know what is in store for the next year. A special welcome to people who have come outside of Hamilton, sorry. And very, very special welcome to people who come outside of Auckland. We have two people who have come all the way from Middle East who cut short their holiday to be with us and was going to share their wisdom and knowledge on RUDRAM. And before we go into them, I just want each and every one of you to think about what made you come here today. What is the special interest you have towards Vedam? What do you think is the fundamental cause for you to be here? Is it because Swami has said several times that I've come here to revive Vedas and he has done it? Or is there something more to that? Maybe I can take you through with a small example. What is this? Pen. Let me see if I have anything else. What is this? Okay, these two products are made by some company, maybe Big and Everready. Okay. What is the purpose for making these products? Can somebody take a guess? For the pen, for example, to write. For the battery, Uncle Gunnar will give an answer.
To provide energy.
To provide energy, yeah. Can these products be used for something else?
You can use the pen to stab somebody.
Correct. Uncle Gunnar rightly said, you can use the pen to stab somebody. I don't know whether they caught that culprit who went to ANZ Bank last week or the week before. He used the pen as a weapon, held a hostage and tried to rob the bank. I hope it's not you, Uncle.
I'm still sitting
So we see a product is made to put for a specific use, like the pen for writing, but the same pen can be used for different purposes. I use the pen all the time as a bookmark. When we do chanting, when we go to another suktam or something, I keep it there when I'm chanting this, so it's easy for me to move on. But the product is best put to use when it is used for the purpose for which it is manufactured. Do we all agree with that? So if you take my body now, in the same example, what is the purpose of my body? Do I know it? If I do not know, I can put this body to several uses, which may not be functioning at an optimum level, like how the pen is used as a bookmark or something like that. And what relevance this has to Vedas? Vedas provide us the answers for all these questions. What is our origin? What is our destination? How we have to reach our destination? And RUDRAM occupies a very important part in the whole Vedic studies. And we have Brother Ram here today to take us through the introduction to RUDRAM, and probably he's going to share and give us some tips how to chant and how to improve in life and all those things. For those of you who do not know Ram is an IT expert. He has worked in different geographies. He's been in India, he's been in New Zealand for several years, went back to India. Now he's a director of ERP in a large organization, LG Electronics in Muscat. He's a great philanthropist. There's a number of charitable activities he's involved in. We are also involved in a lot of activities, but the big difference is what Ram does, even his wife doesn't know. So he does it so quietly. He has a Vedic school in Muscat. He's conducting classes. He's teaching them Sanskrit. There's classes done on every Friday. And a lot of kids come and attend there, no charge. And the wife lovingly cooks food for them and feeds them every week. He's also funding another similar school in India, and a lot of children are getting educated through his. Okay. I can go on and on, Ram, but you have to come up now. Last but not the least is Ram and Gayatri is known as a master chef of South Indian cooking. Where is she? Yeah. If anybody has any doubts, you must talk to her. Ram and Gayatri were instrumental in bringing Chandru, the priest of Papakura temple, to New Zealand. So he knew Chandru in Malaysia. So he introduced Chandru to us, and we are really truly blessed with, not just with Ram, but also with Chandru. Over to you, Ram.
Thanks Vijay, thanks everyone. I'm not sure whether I'm qualified to be here, but I'll just share some of my experiences, and it's a humble attempt. And I'll try. I just put my thoughts together in a set of slides. So I'm a consultant by profession, so I need slides to do anything. So obviously, you people have a lovely group here. I can see the energy, the vibrations here. I just kept quiet to observe the vibrations here. It was just quite phenomenal. So thanks for this opportunity, and thanks for making me be present part of it today. So obviously the first thank goes to Sri RUDRAM, who moves the whole world and who can stop the world as well at any point. My father was a Sanskrit doctorate, and learned a little bit from him. And then there was a Shastrigal who was teaching us in Chennai. I had the privilege of learning from him for 4 years while I was at university. And of course, my family has been supporting me all the way, so I thought I'll start off with that. I'll just take you through some of the thought process I had while Vijay offered me this opportunity to share my experience. I just put them together. And so I'll just go through each one of them. And I also was cognizant that there will be some children in the group. For example, there are some of the kids here. Especially them here, especially learning here in New Zealand. So children always want to know what is the concept behind what you are learning. Typically, if you see in an Indian system, they are just told, say this, repeat this, and then mug this, and then just vomit this, you get marks. So that's typically the approach, and we are all used to that. At least many of us in our generation are used to it. But nowadays, children don't accept those things. They say, why? When I was living in Auckland, one day my daughter asked me, why do you put this? I mean, you don't know the answer, right? You just have to try to figure it out. Why are we doing it? Because my father told me, my mother told me, so you just keep doing that on a regular basis. So you try to start understanding that you don't know so many things. Right? So then I was trying to figure out why are we trying to do this. So then you realize that this is ash. So typically we are all burnt when we die. So that means tomorrow we are going to become ash. Right? At some point in time we will become ash. So this keeps reminding us that this is what I am made of tomorrow. Like what Vijay was saying, the body is going to be ash tomorrow. It's just a question of time. So when you get that realization, you move into a totally different plane. So I thought I'll just take one example and then probably share with you. Many of you might know this, but at least for the benefit of the children, I thought I'll just touch on that. And also in the context of RUDRAM, just wanted to share some of my experiences and how it is done in a typical Gurukula or in a Patashala. How do they teach? What is the fundamental difference and how effective they are and what are the rigor they go through. So that might be of some help to. So that's where it is. And then obviously what's the journey? Where are we in this journey? How far can we go? How far each one of us have gone? It's a customized learning path we just have to set for ourselves and start taking us through that journey. So I just use some broad guidelines there just to share that with you. So when I was doing my masters in IIT, the professor always used to say this huge difference between hearing and learning. Hearing and listening. Right? Hearing is just the sound. So I'm speaking, and because it happens to be English, you all understand. If I start talking in Tamil, for example, half of you may not understand. So, how will you know what I'm saying? So it it's just hearing, right? There is no listening happening there because you did not understand what they said. Right? So the most important part of the whole hearing process is take it to the hard disk and create a folder there, save it. That's the first step. That saving itself doesn't happen most of the time. Especially the wife's talk. So delete, auto delete. So the other part of listening is you save it in a folder and you are able to retrieve it at some point. And at the right point, if you are able to retrieve it, that means you have listened. Right? The next step is, have I understood what you are trying to say? That's also equally important. Right? You intended something. That's why when you talk and when you are physically in front of somebody, when you communicate, you are able to really understand what the person is trying to say. But if you put that in an email, sometimes people don't understand what you are trying to say. People don't get the message across. Right? So listening is a process we just need to cultivate. So this is the first thing they teach in the Gurukulas. They say, first you listen, then you try to understand what the Guru is saying, and then try to repeat that. So obviously, then you start understanding the meaning of what it is. Many times we don't know the meaning, especially in RUDRAM and all. I mean, we are no way qualified to even understand what they are trying to say. It's something beyond our imagination. The rishis and whoever, we don't even know who is the author of RUDRAM. Right? So what they have conceived and what they are trying to say, how far we have understood, I really don't know. Probably not percentage. So, and then conceptualizing that, what they were attempting to say and how far can we conceptualize what they were trying to say. So I again took an example for the concept, especially for the children. And then trying to internalize that. So my father used to say when he was in Trichy, a South Indian town famous for temples. So the Mahavishnu will come on a procession. And then Sheikh Chinnamolana used to play the Nadaswaram in front of him for the Mahavishnu's procession. Right? So he says, Ramani Samanam Ramananu Bhogra. So Sheikh Chinnamolana, a Muslim, playing that song with so much of bhavam in front of Mahavishnu, it's something amazing, something unbelievable. So that's where the internalizing happens, right? He really feels that he's, how Tyagaraja sang to Rama. He says, that's when it really coming from inside you, right? You really understood what that meaning is or what he was trying to say. And then obviously, each one of us have that experience in some form or fashion at some point in time. So that self-realization happens to us at different points in time, in different forms and fashions. So that's why that even the word, right, Brahman, Brahman janati iti Brahmana. So the one who realizes the self is Brahman. So each of those words have so much of solid meaning, which we don't even understand those. So the end goal obviously is a tough one, right? Each of us have to define a goal and try to go. And the minute we think we have reached the goal, the goalpost moves. So that's what I said when I said in Tamil, Katrathu Kaiman Nalavu. What do we know about any of these things, right? Absolutely amazing creations of God, each one. Amazing creations of men. People who have invented, discovered so many things. We don't know so many things in life. The flight, we came in A380. The pilot was a lady. Right? And she's able to control that massive beast. I mean, what do we know? You see the cockpit is just mind-boggling. Right? And there's so much about an aircraft, so much, just an aircraft, right? When you listen to Dr. Kalam, when he talks about a space shuttle, what do we know about that? It's absolutely amazing, right? To me, RUDRAM is like that. It's just so much of deep knowledge in it. It's just, we don't even know the tip of the iceberg. Especially in Upanishads, when you read the Upanishad and try to understand the meaning, when the Guru used to teach, there's so many beautiful things said in that. We don't even get a hang of it, what they are trying to say. Annanindhyad tadvratam abhova annam shariramannadam apsujyotih pratishtitam jyotishyapah pratishtitah tadedadannamanne pratisthidam. So it so much talks about food. And then it explains why food is so important for our life. It's the energy. Right? And it specifically says you must sit on the floor and eat. And you don't even understand why somebody would have thought like that and said, right? Now if you go back to sciences or doctors, they will say, this is probably the best way to eat. Right? Because when you are sitting like this, the blood flow is restricted up to this part, the hip part. Right? And every time you go down, food is God, right? It's the energy that keeps you surviving. So you go to food. See the profound meaning built into it. Food doesn't come to you, right? This is how we eat here, right? Fork, spoon. Oh, I don't eat with my hands, So you have to go to food, right? And then the blood flow is so much more in the digestive part. It processes the food more effectively. And it also tells you at which point you have to stop, right? Not like a buffet, open the mouth, you can see Sakra Pongali, right? So when you do this, it tells you exactly at which point to stop. So 80% it says, yeah, system full. So all of this is built into the Upanishads, right? We have not even understood any of those things. And this is what, just by reading the meaning, you try to understand, right? You don't know what the Rishi was trying to really think and say. We have not even gone anywhere near that. So I thought I'll just take this one example and tell how I'm sure people like Diksha will. So you light diya at home, right? So why do you light a diya at home? To get rid of the darkness, right? Okay, what else? So anyone wants to give a shot? Give it a shot. I'm sure there are multiple reasons why we all do that, right? At least I know my sisters used to do because they will not get dinner unless we light the lamp. So most of us say, father told me, mother told me, that's how we do. And then there's a slokam. We all religiously say, oh, I have to say this one, stand in front, put on this one, light the diya, then khana milega, right? So why do we do that? And see the profound meaning built into each one of these things. So if you go to the next slide. So the first part of it is, it signifies knowledge, right? You got that spot on, right? So it removes the darkness. So it's same like me driving to Hamilton. I have no clue of how to reach this place. GPS is my diya then. So it tells me, okay, turn right, turn. I just blindly keep following. The minute GPS goes off, I am in total darkness. I'm completely lost. I don't know where to go, how to go. So then Vijay becomes my GPS, right? So knowledge is the one that keeps you, going forward. So that signifies, it's no doubt about that. Now, the beauty of a diya, it can light 100 diyas, 1000 diyas. An electric bulb or a light cannot light another light. See the thought process in that. So when you say it is knowledge, it immediately says you have to spread the knowledge. You have to share your knowledge. Otherwise it's just sitting there, what's the point of the knowledge? So that's why I do a lot of this, large ERP implementations, SAP and all of that. So and the guys say, especially the guys who come from the subcontinent, no, if I teach, that guy will learn, then my job will be at risk. I mean, what the hell? I have been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, and teaching is something you have to do. When you teach, you realize how much you don't know, right? And why do you hesitate from teaching? And I have been teaching and I have been just growing all my life. I have never, just because I taught somebody, I have never gone down in life. I confidently, assertively tell the guys, please share, please teach. Because that's when you realize how much more you have to learn, right? So it also signifies that you have to light another lamp. Yeah? And it also represents the Panchabhuta. Yeah? And the wick is my ego. If I think I know everything, I'm not going to go to the class. My daughter says, she studies in Monash. She says, oh, I choose which lecturer is cute, I go to the class. No, this one I know, I don't have to go. I mean, there the ego comes in, right? Oh, this guy is boring. So, unless you drop the ego, you will never be interested. I mean, Prashant takes so much of interest, so much of energy to share his knowledge. Obviously, I have to shed my ego and say, That's why a couple of stanzas I didn't say, because I wanted to feel the vibration. I wanted to see the energy. And it was just amazing, because there's so much of sharing, knowledge sharing happening, and then there are people to receive it. So unless you shed the ego, it will never. The oil is my laziness. Oh, fantastic weather. Chadar road ke so jao, right? Put on the blanket, pull the blanket, and I can sleep for another hour, especially today, in the daylight saving. It would have been all the more difficult, right? So I have to get rid of my laziness. Right? Again, it's signified in there. And the lamp itself is the physical body. That's why you drop the diya, it just breaks, right? That's it. The real body is, that's all it is. And it's the sacrifice of the lamb to serve others. That's exactly the theme of the Sai, the whole movement as well. Right? So that is again built into the diya. So if you compare an electric light, to see the profound depth of knowledge that is not introduced. And it, as I said, it also represents Panchabhuta. Right? So if you see the Panchabhuta, all other elements you can pollute. And fire is the only one you cannot pollute. You throw anything into it, it will just burn it. Right? There is no way you can pollute fire. Exactly that's what happens to knowledge. Just because, Subhashini did masters, doesn't mean she forgot what she studied in MBBS, right? So that knowledge can never be polluted. So you just keep building additional knowledge. And even if you put something else into you, it will not, pollute your original knowledge. That's the beauty of Adya. It signifies that it's so much thought through, and that's the significance of why we like it. So if you see in this last 3-4 minutes, your mindset of lighting a diya has changed, and you think that, oh, this is the real meaning. Next time Diksha lights a lamp, she will know, okay, this is the real purpose of it. So that keeps reminding you that whatever little I know, I need to share. So this much of thinking has gone into this one small activity. Imagine millions of activities, and this is just one small portion of Yajurveda. And Yajurveda alone takes 17 years of full-time schooling. Full-time, the child starts at the age of 7, 24 they graduate. Only one Veda. And that too the guy can only chant. He can simply say, right? He can wake up in the middle of the night and say, Ekachame, Tistrashame, Panchajame, Sapta, that's it, right? But what is that Ekachame? There is so much of mathematical formula built into that. We have not even comprehended any of those things. And in the typical Veda school, they have something called the Kalvari. Right? When they teach, they say, they go for the final exams. So during the final exam, the judges will be sitting here. So each of them will have a set of stones. So each stone represents, for example, in our case, let's say Anuvaka, for example. Right? So he will move the 7th stone. That means 7th Anuvaka. Okay? And he will move the 4th stone. The 4th word in 7th Anuvaka. You start from there. So that's called Kalvari. That's the exam. It's like our CAT and JEE and all that. So this guy moves that. That's it. He will not talk. We just have to start from there and keep going. So it's pure rote learning, right? You're just memorizing it so much. No book, nothing, right? You don't have any of these things. You just listen to the Guru and just repeat. But that is what happens in this 14 years or 17 years. The meaning is where probably, at our age, semi-retired age, retired age, we can give it a shot. So we can start learning little bit of whatever they are trying to say, And the last one I put there is, it always glows upwards. No diya will ever grow downwards, right? So if I do masters, my salary never goes down. I don't move down in any of my job. So it always keeps pushing you out. So knowledge is so powerful. Right? That's exactly what the Vedas signifies. So obviously it's one of the most powerful mantras, right? It's right bang in the middle of Yajurveda. It's so powerful. And it's most used in all the Abhishekams, wherever you go, whichever temple you go, obviously. Of course, Vishnu temple, the chants are, Purusha Suktam and all that. But typically you hear Rudram in most of the temples. And it's pretty neutral, I would say, in most of the temples. And each Anuvaka has got a significance. For example, example, when you say the Namasovaya, Rudraja, also you start with a special this one, right? So that is used for Chandana Abhisheka. So each one has got a significance, and that Abhisheka goes with that Anuvaka. And my father used to say there are people who can say that each Anuvaka in full swing without taking a breath. People are trained like that. Recently, my wife attended my brother's Shashti Abhibhut. She said it was just amazing vibrations with 11 acharyas sitting there and chanting Ekadasi Rudram. It was just so much of vibration in the room. And the energy and the power, the volume especially, right? And they are able to say at that volume for 11 times continuously, phenomenal amount of energy. In fact, yesterday we were talking about Serena Williams, right? She doesn't know how many sets she has to play when she comes in. The match could go on for 2.5 hours. It could finish straight sets. She might finish 6-0, 6-0 in 45 minutes and walk. But the energy that's required to hold that kind of momentum. Yesterday we were chanting this. Drape andhasaspate daridran neeralohita esham purushanam esham pashunam mabhirma romo esham kinchana mamat. See the power of this mantra, right? The way it is structured, the way the annotations go, it's just phenomenal. Right? So I thought this is one of my imaginations. Right? So because you try to extrapolate all of this and then see how it might look like. Right? Imagine you are in Chidambaram, right? Supposed to be the abode of Lord Shiva or Kailash, for example. And then you are chanting Rudram, right? And then you have somebody playing Veena. Because Veena is supposed to be the most equivalent to human voice. No other instrument can bring that kind of depth of a human voice in any of the physical instruments. And somebody is dancing. Right? And T.M. Krishna is singing. It's an amazing comedy, right? You can extrapolate Rudram to any extent, any point, wherever you want to take it. Right? So again, that's an imagination, right? You can take it to any different levels. So that's the typical learning process. So first we start with the Santai. Santai is the Guruji says once and then you repeat twice. So you say Namaste Rudramanyava. So you say Namaste Rudramanyava, Namaste Rudramanya twice. So that's the Santai part. Then is the Tiruvai. So you will say I have finished first Anuvaka now. You just simply say that by yourself. So you have to say the whole Anuvaka. Of course, nowadays we use book and all that. So you are not supposed to use any of it. Then is the Charcha, then the Kalvari. So I told you what the Kalvari is. The Charcha is, you will simply say, okay, so you start this Anuvaka, you start that Anuvaka, and you will keep on saying, okay, next to you, next to you, next to you. So he will make sure that everybody in the class can say all the 11 Anuvakas. So if you don't know which Anuvaka is going to come. There are some of my students in Muscat, I tell them this Charcha mechanism. Uncle, Sloka number 6 only. They feel comfortable with that, so they want to stay in their comfort zone. So, Swaras is quite important because the pronunciation and Swaras make a big difference. Right? So obviously if I call, people call Vijay, Vijay here, right? V like a J, that's it. Right? Ajay, A-J. So it completely changes the meaning of Ajay. Right? Ajay, somebody who cannot win him is Ajay. Right? So the profound meaning of that word is completely lost. The minute you say AJ, finished. And the unfortunate part is there is no other language that has got the equivalence of Sanskrit. And probably you may have to put 5-6 languages to get somewhere equivalent to Sanskrit. So if you say ka, kha, ga, gha, when you say the gha, it comes from the navel, all the way. So that gha doesn't come in any other language. Especially in Tamil, you write ka. I say kannan or gannan is the same ka. How do I know what should I use here? Is it a K or a G A? So pronunciation makes a big difference and the swaras also make a big difference. So again here, that's V, Shanti and few of the guys are in Auckland. So there was a lady in my group and I used to make sure that she gets it right. And when that place comes, she will really struggle to get it right. Until she got it right, we never let it go. So you have to get to that point that you feel confident, and of course internally you feel very happy and satisfied that you got that right. So the other thing I noticed is in the script that is running, the English part is pathetic, not acceptable. It's completely not acceptable. Because the way it is written in this one in English, it's far different from originally how it should be said in Sanskrit. So the best thing would be definitely to put a bit of efforts into it, handwrite it, and make it more like, I normally say 2 and a 4. So ka, leave it as ka, leave the ka and put a 2 there. That means ka. Ga is just leave a ga there, and ga is gha or a g4a. So that's where that distinction of the meaning and the words will come. And yeah, so repeating without mistakes is another challenge, right? Because we start off with the rote learning, so and then we repeat without mistakes, and wherever, especially in Sanskrit, has it's a negative connotation, right? Straight away. For example, in Upanishad, it very clearly says, Shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya adeyam. Finished. Shraddhaya deyam. If you give something, give with all your heart. Ashraddhaya adeyam. Don't even think of giving if you don't want, even a percentage if you don't want, don't give. Ashraddhaya adeyam. So A has got a, because it's a negative. So getting the exact pronunciation is quite important because the meaning simply changes. Especially Rudram, right? You are trying to please him. You don't want to mess up with him. Because Chamakam is you are going to ask everything. So at least you have to make sure that, I was telling Vijay yesterday, I need $1,000, can you get a loan? He will never talk to me again. Right? So you are trying to please him first and then ask for all of these things in life. And Chamakam is something so comprehensive. You are not leaving anything behind. Right from the conception until the death, everything you want, including the BMW, is built into it. It says, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want this. Huge list. And it's complete. So you have to make sure that you place him in Namakam. Yeah, good. So that's the last slide, but obviously you definitely enjoy the vibration. Right? That definitely makes a big improvement, and physically also it's proven. There are a lot of studies and a lot of papers presented saying that chanting of these mantras improves your different parts of the body. So there's a lot of proofs around that. There's no doubt about it, medically proven, and a lot of studies around that. And I'm sure you would have heard there is a bunch of guys in Europe who go around, they sit in Swiss Alps and chant Rudram. Imagine that. Yeah, it'd be a bliss. Right? Going to Kailash and chanting Rudram would be amazing feeling. So the vibration, no doubt, no comparison at all. And again, it's the sacrifice part which when you do the Abhishekam. The other important thing in all of these things, if you see in every underlying philosophy in Hinduism, it revolves around a team. Every small thing has been thought through. It's just a team. No individual can do anything. Each of us in this room may be individually capable of something great, right? But unless you put them into a team, we will not be able to achieve anything. And of course, in my life, I can tell you, every project I have done all my life, nobody is capable of doing the project, right? You need 5, 10, 20, 30, 100 people to get things done. So the underlying theme for all of these things is team. And obviously, Rudram is just a starting point, right? It triggers other learning. You can move into Chamakam. So the way I left Auckland is I finished Rudram and I left. So I kept telling them yesterday. So I've been not here for 10 years now. So I told them, good, you're only pleasing him. You're not asking for anything. It's a bliss, right? So 10 years he's just happily being praised. So it obviously triggers into other new learnings. I'm very happy to see people learning more things, new things, and expanding your horizon and boundaries. And obviously the next level is trying to understand the meaning. Right? So it's no way close to what I said, right? Sheikh Chinna Maulana playing that song, or T.M. Krishna singing, Tillai Sabapadi Kyu Ver Devam Samanamaguma. So he says there is nobody equivalent to Tillai Sabapadi. So the internalizing of it happens only after a few times, right? Just not by saying the word. So understanding the meaning and taking it to the next level. And I just took some 3 simple examples. So if you click that hyperlink, sure you all have seen this movie. At least the Tamil speaking people would have seen. I would strongly suggest non-Tamil speaking, take one of the other volunteers, sit down and watch this movie with the subtitle. It's available on YouTube. It's just phenomenal. The whole Rudram, to me, this movie tells you the meaning of it. It's just an amazing movie. I would have watched it a number of times, and a couple of times I've cried. It's just a phenomenal movie. And I actually wanted to play a clipping today, but you just have to visualize. This is where the internalizing part comes. And I can't get an example better than this to explain to you what Rudram means. That movie tells you. And there are 2-3 scenes you will realize that is Rudram. Stop. That is Rudram. Yeah? And of course the theme again, same what Bhagavan says is the same thing. Exactly the same theme. And meaning is exactly the same. Anbe Shivam. And Shivan is Rudram. Rudran is Rudram. So that's one. You just go back and go to the next one. Again, this is also a very profound thing. I again don't know how, probably my knowledge is extremely limited to even explain this one. So is it a horse or is it a rider? That is Rudram. Ashrebhyo Shvabadibhyascha vo namaha. I salute the horse. I salute the horse rider. And both are same. Brahman janati iti brahmanaha. Here, God is here. That's why if you see in all the philosophies, some philosophies might look a bit, contradicting and bit of a difficult part to understand. But here it's very simple. If I have all the right qualities and I show love towards another human being and another animal and another fellow being, that's it. That is God. That is Buddha. And that's really the last slide. There is no more slide. So again, these are all only small words I have taken and tried to interpret them. Trikala, Agni Kalaya. So Trikala is past, present, future. So when I talked about Diya, that's past. Right? The minute is gone. So we are talking about slide number 11 is present. Slide number 12 is end slide, right? Not come yet. He is capable of making all these three irrelevant. Because the minute that is gone, he has killed that minute. The minute is current, he will kill it the next minute. Next minute, this minute is killed, right? So he is capable of making Trikalagni Kalaya. Kala is again destroyer, right? So we always see the destroyer as a very negative function, right? So if you see from any of the philosophical angles, the equanimity, right? So you are able to handle Sukha, Dukkha, all. That's exactly what this means. Yeah. Thank you.
One question.
That's the difficult part. I didn't prepare for it.
You know how we said Namakam is praising,
Yeah.
Chamakam is always asking. Why did we include in that asking part? What was the need for the Chamakam there? Because asking is very, it's a selfish thing. So why was that included?
I think, again, I guess, probably I don't have the right answer, but my thought process is, see, when you please somebody, right, so you expect him to bless you, because the blessing is necessary for us to live, right? It's basically you are seeking his blessing, but you are asking it in different forms and
We are
fashions.
demanding in Chamakam, is it?
In a way. Depends how much of freedom you take, right? Like Mirabai with Krishna, she talks to him in a different language than you and me. Like that Tirukkanna Nayana, right? So he puts his leg on Lord Shiva and he says, I can't see. He takes his high and then gives it to him, right? So what language, what frequency you are talking to him. So obviously, when he blesses you, it's all part of Shamakam. So any one of the blessing comes through is good enough. So that's why I said, it's a bliss to be only saying Rudram. In fact, personally, I prefer to say only Rudram. Because I think and feel that he will take care of the chamakam part.
Correct.
Right? So if you do this with all your heart, chamakam is a given, it will happen. And it's also difficult to chant, all the more.
I think Professor Anil Kumar asked the very same question to Swami. Very same question, why there are two parts and why it is one praising, one it is asking. Swami's response was, there are two types of people here. One who are very greedy, one who are more religious. In order for the greedy people to approach God, they can start with Chamakam. Okay, because it is kind of adding water to the greediness. But it's still a prayer. So eventually they will come and do the Namakam also. That was his Swami's interpretation actually.
In fact, that adds to the point. When you start Rudram also, you always start with Chamakam.
Yes.
Right? So it basically gives me the strength to say Rudram. Right? So everything you need some blessings from him, right? Otherwise I wouldn't be here after 10 years, right?
Thank you.
Ram, can I, just a thought, would it be appropriate to say that Chamakam is essentially seeking his blessings for the wherewithals of life? If you have all those things, the Swami says, when a man is hungry, you feed him, then you give him the knowledge. So you ask for the wherewithals of life, so that you can utilize it in praise of him and to realize it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got it.
I would think that is what you're asking. We're not asking excessively greedy things.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, RUDRAM. We might cover that part later, that question later. It's a very profound topic. Thank you so much. We would have loved to cancel your holiday. So if you've got second thoughts, and our children are quite, I would love to try some South Indian food as well. So this second segment.